We're in the heart of Lancashire at one of the country's biggest and most successful employers, where apprenticeships have played a vital role in the workforce for over half a century.
We're here to celebrate the nation's apprentices and find out who are the UK's top apprenticeship employers for 2025.
Hello and welcome to today's special programme launching the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025. I'm Martin Birchall from Fliers Research.
And I'm Chanise Evans, a former apprentice and journalist from the BBC. It's brilliant to be back with you. This is our 5th year counting down the country's top apprenticeship employers.
And it's great to be here at BAE Systems state-of-the-art Academy for Skills and Knowledge in Samlesbury near Blackburn to see their apprentices in action and find out why apprenticeships are such an important part of the company.
We've a busy programme ahead, and over the next 90 minutes we'll be finding out who's in this year's Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers.
We'll be reporting from around the UK on the impact that apprenticeships are having in different industries, sectors and communities.
And I'll be meeting apprentices who are working on some of the country's top apprenticeship programmes.
And we'll be speaking to employers in the new Top 100 to find out what it takes to be one of this year's top-rated apprenticeship employers.
Now, wherever you're watching today's broadcast from, whether you're one of the hundreds of employers around the UK that entered for this year's rankings,
or you're an apprentice already working hard on your apprenticeship,
or you're a teacher or careers advisor,
or you're a student or school or college leaver thinking about your future career options,
you're all very welcome, and we're really glad that you've been able to join us.
Let's start by explaining how the new rankings have been compiled.
The Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers are based entirely on the latest employer data, so there's no voting, no reviews and no judging process to determine the results. Entries for this year's rankings opened in March, and employers were asked to provide 3 key pieces of data.
The first of these is the number of apprentices who started an apprenticeship in the previous year, either as a new recruit or an existing employee. The second data point is the diversity of those new apprentices, and the third is the number of apprentices who successfully completed their apprenticeship during the year.
It's a very simple equation. The more new starts you have, the more diverse your apprentices are, and the more apprentices who complete their apprenticeships, the higher your score will be. All the data was independently verified and scored, and then weighted according to the size of the employer's workforce, and from this, the final rankings were confirmed.
The Top 100 is compiled by Fliers Research on behalf of the Sunday Times, and this year, for the first time, entries have been open to employers in England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland who have 100 employees or more and at least 10 apprentices, making the new rankings a real celebration of apprenticeship employers across the UK. But remember, this is an annual competition, so only employers that entered earlier this year are in the running to appear in the new Top 100.
Now, before we get underway with the first of today's countdowns, Martin's gone to find out more about this incredible academy.
Thanks, Chanise. Well, I'm here with Peter Caney. He's the Head of Early Careers at BAE Systems. Firstly, Peter, thank you very much for hosting us today at this incredible academy. Tell me a little bit about what you do here and why there's been such a phenomenal investment in these facilities.
Yeah, this is a critical resource to support that future talent pipeline into the air sector. The facility is the first of 3 purpose-built academies. This one came online in 2016, around £20 million investment. And we see, circa 700 or 800 apprentices, graduates in that intake for the air sector each year that will cycle through this at some point in their learner journey. Our craft apprentices will start within this workshop environment in year 1, and this is purpose built, so it really tries to mirror the experience that they'll find out in the work environment, whether that be equipment, machinery, standards, safety standards, cleanliness standards, those workplace standards. So a really important facility to support those.
And of course, BAE Systems, a huge manufacturing company. You're offering apprenticeships across a very wide range of disciplines, but lots of people benefit by starting here, don't they? They see the engineering, they see the craft firsthand.
Absolutely. I mean, across those key disciplines, whether that be manufacturing, engineering, a range of digital, professional services. I think the beauty of our talent coming into this facility is you get to work together, which is really important. So really understand the different roles, functional aspects that really go together to make that workforce, effective.
And give me an idea of just some of the other things you have in the building, because it's not all just about the workshop, is it?
Not at all. We've got the workshop, we've got the hangar, which is a fantastic facility for blending the practical and the theory-based knowledge in a live environment. We've got a range of classrooms. We've got a virtual cave as well, so we can bring in more of the technology and virtual simulation environments too.
And tell me how this helps with recruitment and retention in terms of perhaps bringing the community in, bringing in schools and colleges. What do they make of it when they see it?
It's fabulous. I mean, we've got a dedicated education outreach zone, so bringing school children in at a very early age, they can really connect with STEM and different activities that we do. That's a really important part to attract that young generation into engineering, and the facility here really it creates a beacon of interest and excitement for switching those young minds onto the possibilities.
And of course, once they've joined you, there is the potential they'll be back here in future years, won't they? They'll be building up, they're perhaps moving on to another apprenticeship, going on to even more challenging.
Absolutely. I mean, we really aim for that pull through of that talent pipeline. We're very proud of our apprentice success rates. 95% of the apprentices that join us complete and go into full employment into the business, and that's a really strong pull through and a critical resource for us.
Well, that's really exciting. So Peter Caney, Head of Early Careers at BAE Systems, thank you very much for joining us. Now it's time for us to reveal who are the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025.
We start the countdown with Virgin Media O2 at number 100. With over 45 million UK customers and 16,000 employees, it's one of the country's biggest telecommunications companies with over 200 apprentices on programmes including field technician, radio engineer, commercial analyst and project management.
At 99, Ian Williams is a privately owned property services company that'll celebrate its 70th year in 2026. 130 of its 1,400 employees are on apprenticeships, including painting, plumbing, electricals, roofing, carpenters and multi-trade.
Based in Hertfordshire, Connect Scaffolding is the smallest employer in this year's rankings, with 102 employees. It has 18 apprentice scaffolders, 11 of whom joined the company last year.
DEFRA, the Department for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, is at number 97. More than 900 of its 33,000 staff are on apprenticeships, including roles in science and engineering, operational delivery, policy, commercial and digital.
At 96, Cummins is one of the world's biggest engine and power generation companies. In the UK, it recruited over 150 new apprentices in the past year for roles in engineering, manufacturing, sales and marketing and technology, based at locations including Peterborough, Darlington and Huddersfield.
At number 95, we're off to the northeast of England for County Durham and Darlington Fire and Rescue Service. The service has over 50 apprentices, including 20 who started the Level 3 Firefighter and Fire Safety Apprenticeship last year, based at fire stations across the region.
For number 94, it's down to the southwest to meet Monaghan's, the first of 19 professional services firms in the new Top 100. It has over 30 apprentices working as trainee accountants and business advisors at its 11 offices, including Chippenham, Swindon, Glastonbury and Bristol.
The Kia Group is at number 93. It's a major employer in the construction sector and now has over 700 apprentices working on apprenticeships in areas like highway maintenance, business and finance, and degree apprenticeships in civil engineering, quantity surveying and construction management.
Christie's, the world's largest fine art business, is at number 92 in this year's rankings. More than 40 of its employees are on apprenticeship programmes developing their careers in operations, finance and HR.
WTW is a multinational risk management and insurance brokerage company. It recruited over 100 apprentices in the UK last year for apprenticeships including insurance professional, actuarial technician, data engineer and pension administrator.
At number 90, James Cowper Creston is the second of 19 accounting and professional services firms in this year's Top 100. With offices in the Thames Valley, London and the south of England, almost a fifth of its 230 staff are on an apprenticeship programme.
ARC Schools is at 89. It's a not-for-profit network of 39 schools providing high-quality education to students facing social and economic challenges in areas of London, Birmingham, Hastings and Portsmouth. Over 100 of its 4,000 staff are on apprenticeships, including the postgraduate teaching apprenticeship.
From operating pipes to improving water quality, United Utilities provides water and sewage services to 7 million people across the northwest of England. It offers a wide variety of apprenticeships in roles such as engineering, customer service and data analytics.
We're off to the far southwest of England for number 87. Pendennis Shipyard is a world-leading super yacht company based in Falmouth Docks in Cornwall. 1 in 6 of its employees are currently on apprenticeship programmes, and the company has successfully trained more than 400 apprentices over the past 2.5 decades.
At 86, RS Group distributes more than 750,000 industrial products to customers worldwide. An eighth of its workforce are on apprenticeships, typically in Corby or London, and 80 apprentices successfully completed their apprenticeships in 2024.
Kuehne Nagel is a global logistics company with over 3,500 employees in the UK. Its 150 apprentices are on apprenticeships including freight logistics, business administration, customer services, sales and warehousing.
AES Seal is at number 84. It's one of the world's leading specialists in the design and manufacture of mechanical seals and support systems, and more than 1 in 10 of its 600-strong workforce are currently on an apprenticeship.
At 83, Barclays is the first of 5 major banking and finance employers in this year's Top 100. The bank has over 800 apprentices on a wide range of entry-level, higher and degree apprenticeships in areas like technology, cyber and security, operations, retail banking, human resources, global transactions and private banking and wealth management.
Lifetime is one of the UK's largest apprenticeship training providers, with industry-experienced trainers, curriculum experts from a variety of different sectors and leading-edge technology. More than 20 of its own employees are currently on apprenticeships.
Global banking giant JP Morgan Chase is at number 81. It offers higher and degree apprenticeships at its offices in London, Bournemouth and Edinburgh, and at its Glasgow Technology Centre. Last year, more than 200 apprentices began the bank's 4-year financial services and technology degree apprenticeships.
Socotec is a leading provider of testing, inspection and compliance services for the construction industry and has 180 apprentices in a variety of roles across its different divisions, including infrastructure, laboratory and analytical, and building control.
Priory is a leading independent provider of mental health and adult social care in the UK, supporting 28,000 people each year. More than 500 of its 13,000 employees are on apprenticeship programmes, including healthcare, nursing and social care, as well as administration and support roles.
At number 78, Leonardo is a leading UK aerospace company and one of the biggest suppliers to the Ministry of Defence. It employs more than 8,500 staff and has over 400 apprentices on engineering, business and cybersecurity apprenticeships at different locations around the UK.
It's time to head off down to Devon, Somerset and Wiltshire for Westcott's at number 77. It's a firm of chartered accountants and business advisors with 17 offices across the region. 1 in 6 of its 250 staff are on apprenticeships.
And we're back in the northeast for Tyne and Wear Fire and Rescue Service at number 76. Over 40 of the service's apprentices successfully completed their apprenticeships last year, and 1 in 10 of its employees are currently apprentices. So, that's our first 25 employers in the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025.
Our countdown is underway. Congratulations to all the employers who've been ranked so far. Let's find out more about 3 of the apprenticeship employers we've just heard about. I'm pleased to be joined by Natasha Watts, Recruitment Manager at Christie's, Jane Stutt, Chief People Officer at Priory, and Jackie Kavchak, Senior Education Lead at United Utilities. Now, Jackie, I'm going to start with you. You're one of the region's major employers responsible for water and sewage across the northwest. It's a big apprenticeship employer as well. What type of schemes do you offer and why do you recruit for them?
We offer, actually, at the present moment in time, we've got about 30 different schemes going, apprenticeship schemes. We offer them right across the business. We're a critical infrastructure, so we need all those different skills. So we can offer anything from catchment controllers to lab scientists to engineers, customer service people, data analysts. The list goes on and on and on. But it's essential that we've got all those skills. There's a huge skill shortage at the moment in the UK. So the breadth of it is massive that we deliver to.
And do apprenticeships make it easier to recruit for those skills gaps?
Yes, it does. Because if you're trying to buy those skills in anyway, the pot now is getting shallower and shallower. So if we are bringing them in as an apprentice, we can recruit them in, train them up ourselves, grow your own. We've grown that own talent, and we've got the pipeline of talent to go through so that we've got the skills that we need for the future.
Fantastic. Now, Jane, if I can just ask you, so perhaps if you could give us an introduction to Priory. I know you're one of the biggest employers in the health and social care sector.
Yes, that's right. We're the largest independent provider of mental health and social care across all 4 countries of the UK, employing around 13,000 colleagues, about 60% of which are health and social care workers.
Now, it's a sector that's notoriously difficult to recruit for. I know you've got nearly 600 odd apprentices. What sort of difference does it make to be able to offer apprenticeships for those entry roles?
It's absolutely vital to us. We recognise that in terms of improving our recruitment and retention, career development and growth had to be at the heart of our strategy. And we view care as a career. It's an often underestimated role in the market, and we want to give people the opportunity to develop their careers both laterally and vertically into management roles, and apprenticeships help us with that.
Fantastic. Now, Natasha, Christie's perhaps isn't an organisation you'd immediately associate with apprenticeships. You're one of the smaller employers in this year's top 100, around 600 staff. How do you use apprenticeships within your staff?
Yeah, for us, apprenticeships, we kind of have 2 main avenues. So our largest portion is our early careers, and it's actually a school leaver programme for people who haven't gone to higher education, decide they don't want to go to higher education, and we want to help them get a start in the industry, work experience and get those skill sets. And then we have our upskilling side of the business as well, so anyone already in the organisation looking to progress.
And we're not just talking about fine art roles here,
Absolutely
are we? We're talking
not.
about all sorts of different functions within the company. Which is your biggest recruiting strand?
Absolutely not fine art, although we are working and trailblazing on a new standard because there isn't actually a relevant standard that suits for the kind of luxury art retail aspect. Our biggest area and largest is operational, so niche roles that you wouldn't necessarily expect, shipping coordinators, how to help people ship a fine piece of art across the world, or into things like finance, HR, things that you would traditionally expect from most organisations.
Jackie, you talked about the skills gap. How good are you at retaining your apprentices at the end? How many actually get through their apprenticeship successfully?
We have a really good retention rate and there's a success rate, so we're normally above 90%, in the region of 95% of retaining all our apprenticeship programmes. I think when you take on an apprenticeship, they've got the loyalty with you to want to stay with you. You're investing in them anyway, so they do stay, and we do see them staying. And they're mapped to a substantive post straight away.
And Jane, people often think about apprenticeships as it's just for school and college leavers. I'm guessing you're looking for career changers as well, people of all ages who might decide to come to you.
Absolutely, and particularly we offer grow your own nursing programmes, so you'll know there's a national shortage of nursing, particularly mental health nursing, so we offer that opportunity for people who've maybe worked in care for many years to be able to earn while they learn, take a nursing degree and qualify as a nurse in partnership with University of Manchester. We've seen over 250 mental health nurses qualify through us over the last 7 years.
Brilliant. Well, Natasha, Jane and Jackie, thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your stories about how apprenticeships are making a real difference in your organisation. Now, Chanise is in one of the most exciting parts of the Academy with some of BAE Systems Apprentices.
Thanks, Martin. I am super excited to be here in the virtual reality cave where engineers of the future are trained. And I've got Josh here who's going to tell me a little bit about what they do in here.
Yeah, so use the virtual reality cave and other virtual reality software around the company, primarily for visualization reasons. That can be for training, so it can be to help apprentices understand how different aircraft parts are made up. You can get a real feel for it by being in virtual reality. It's also used in a production sense for a lot of different reasons, and the main reason that virtual reality is used is because the mistakes that are made in virtual reality are so much easier to correct. If we were actually to develop an aircraft and you get to the kind of final end stage and realise that there's some sort of issue, that's a very costly mistake. Using all this in virtual reality is a lot more of an easy and kind of dynamic way to do it, and it's a great way for apprentices to get a visualisation and a feel of what they're actually going to be doing before they're kind of let loose, so to speak, on quite expensive equipment.
It's really amazing, Josh, because you sound like you know everything and you know so much about BAE Systems and virtual reality caves, but you're actually an apprentice here, right?
Yes, yeah, that's true.
So tell me a little bit about your apprenticeship.
So our apprenticeship scheme is 5 years long. It's an engineering degree apprenticeship scheme, so we come off with a degree in aeronautical engineering, and how it's made up is we do 6 lots of placements, which are 5 months long, and then we go into a final rotation, which is 2 years long. So we get a real flavour for different parts of the business. That can be structures, design, aerodynamics, systems, lots and lots of different views of the business. And whilst we're doing that, we go to a university once a week to kind of supplement that on the job knowledge that we're getting with real theoretical and academic knowledge.
That all sounds amazing. So show me around the virtual reality cave then.
Should we go and have a look?
Yeah.
You're going to need these on.
So now I'm going to talk to 2 more of BAE Systems apprentices. Aisha, Juliet, tell me a little bit about what you've been up to. Aisha, we'll come to you first.
So I am a 3rd-year project control degree apprentice, so it's a 5-year scheme. Essentially what we do is monitor, report and control on 3 main constraints: time, cost and quality. It's been really exciting so far, and I've had the opportunity to work on international and UK projects.
Is there a particular type of project that you like working on then? Is it international you prefer or UK based?
I think the Typhoon is the one that I prefer the most. There was an opportunity where we got to fly out to RAF Coningsby, which was a really cool experience, and we got to see the work we do in person, which was really, really cool.
It does sound really cool. Okay, so Juliet, tell me a bit about what you've been up to.
So I'm a Human Resources Hire Apprentice, so that's a 2-year scheme, and we get to do 4 6-month placements. So I've been in so many different areas of the business, so some of them are lines of business and some of them are for the whole air sector, and I've really, really enjoyed the experience I've had so far.
And what's it like working in HR but for an aerospace company?
It's honestly, it's so good because I get to see all the different aspects of the business. So I think as HR, you're working with people, which has really allowed me to network with everyone throughout the business. So from engineers to project management, it's really good.
Now, you were the only one in your cohort, so I want to ask you guys about what it was like working with different people and making friends while you've been on your apprenticeship. Do you think it was challenging, Juliet, like being the only one, or was it okay?
I think the early careers made it easier for me, so they buddied me up, so I had a buddy, so we had one more apprentice that had exited before me, so he supported me throughout it. They also put me in touch with other business apprentices. I also get involved, because there is only me on my scheme, with all the early careers events that we get to do, so there's a lot of networking involved in that. And I would say because you move around to 4 different teams, I've actually built up a really good network, and because HR teams are quite small, I've been able to keep in contact with them all, so everyone's been really supportive and genuinely wanted me to succeed, so I think having that network's been really helpful.
Oh, I love that. It's very nice, isn't it, when you're on your apprenticeship and you've got friends to go to and people to have lunch front to him. So in terms of how your apprenticeships are actually built and put together, do you have exams? Is it just assignment based? Aisha, what's yours like?
So mine is in collaboration with Blackpool in the Fylde and Lancaster University. So we're at university 1 day a week. We have your foundation degree for 3 years and then your bachelor top up. You also have your placement on the side, so 4 days a week, and then any other extra apprenticeship things like off-the-job training. But it's been really good so far. We have a massive support network. We've got skills coaches, lecturers, our placement managers as well. And there's a massive community of apprentices. Just Wharton and Samlesbury alone, there's about 800 of us, so it's a big community.
It all sounds amazing. I'm absolutely fascinated talking to you about your apprenticeships, and thank you so much for telling me all about them. Now, from the virtual reality cave to the next 25 in this year's Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers.
We return to the countdown at number 75 with the NatWest Group. It has over 900 apprentices in England, Scotland and Northern Ireland, including more than 400 who started apprenticeships in the past year in customer service, relationship management, digital technology and data, and specialist and support roles.
Let's head back to the northeast of England, this time for Rosedene Nurseries at number 74, which has a dozen nurseries in Teesside and North Yorkshire. 1 in 6 of its 180 staff are on early years apprenticeships.
We make our first visit to the retail sector for the John Lewis Partnership at number 73. Across its department stores and Waitrose supermarkets, over 700 of its employees, known as partners, started an apprenticeship in the past 12 months, with opportunities at every level from 2 to 7.
Network Rail is this year's number 72. It owns, operates and develops Britain's railway infrastructure and is our first employer in the new rankings with over 1,500 apprentices, a third of whom started apprenticeships in engineering, IT and business services and finance last year.
At 71, the Ministry of Defence is the third largest government department. It had over 800 new recruits and existing employees start apprenticeships in 2024 on programmes including engineering, digital technology, finance and the Level 7 Senior Leadership Apprenticeship.
Founded in 1997, the Lee Marley Group specialises in the installation of brick facades to high-rise residential buildings. The company now has over 100 bricklaying and scaffolding apprentices and provides more than 60 new apprenticeships each year in and around London, Edinburgh and Glasgow.
At 69, TUI is one of the best-known names in the holiday business and has more than 400 apprentices on programmes including aircraft engineering, commercial, finance, human resources and retail, as well as the Chartered Management Degree Apprenticeship.
At number 68, Bagnalls is a family-owned painting, decorating and specialist industrial coating contractor based in Shipley, West Yorkshire. It offers over 30 places each year on its Level 2 apprenticeships, and many of its foremen, managers and directors are former apprentices.
Cambridge University Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust is at number 67. It's a major employer in the east of England with 13,000 staff and almost 500 apprentices on apprenticeships at every level from 2 to 7.
At 66, Navantia UK is a new name in Britain's defence, maritime and energy industries. It's a subsidiary of a Spanish naval shipbuilding company and recently acquired Harland & Wolff. In the past year, its new apprenticeship starts included more than 60 in Northern Ireland and 40 in Scotland.
We're heading to the East Midlands for number 65. University Hospitals of Leicester NHS Trust is the city's biggest employer, with over 18,000 staff, including more than 650 apprentices and apprenticeship programmes at every level from 2 up to 7.
Hello to East Anglia and Norfolk County Council at number 64. Its 14,500 strong workforce includes 290 apprentices who began an apprenticeship in the past year, with programmes available at all levels from entry level up to level 7.
We're returning to the Midlands for the University Hospitals Birmingham NHS Trust at number 63. It's our fourth employer in the new Top 100 with over 1,000 apprentices, nearly half of whom started their apprenticeships in 2024.
The Bank of England is the UK's central bank and maintains the country's monetary policy and financial stability. Many of its 300 apprentices are on the digital and technology, data science, financial services or professional economist degree apprenticeships, or level 4 apprenticeships in business or data analysis.
At number 61, with over 700 centres across the UK offering tyres, MOTs and car servicing, QuickFit is one of the country's best-known automotive brands. More than 500 of its 4,500 employees are on its 30-month Autocare Technician Apprenticeship programme.
At number 60, the business services group Mighty is the 5th largest employer in the new rankings, with more than 66,000 employees and over 1,500 apprentices. It's our first employer offering apprenticeships in each of England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland.
Cross Country Trains is at number 59. It's the second of 5 apprenticeship employers from the transport sector in this year's Top 100. Part of the Arriva Group, Cross Country Trains provides rail services from Aberdeen to Penzance, and 1 in 10 of its 2,000 employees are apprentices.
At number 58, the London Early Years Foundation has a history that stretches back more than a century and runs 40 nurseries in and around the capital. Over 80 of its 900 staff are currently on an apprenticeship.
Lloyds Banking Group is the financial giant behind Lloyds Bank, Halifax, Bank of Scotland and Scottish Widows. It's at number 57 and offers apprenticeships in a wide range of roles from financial services to digital technology, and has one of this year's highest scores for the diversity of its apprentices.
KPMG is at number 56. It's the first of the Big 4 accounting and professional services firms in the new Top 100 and recruits around 300 apprentices annually for audit, business services, consulting, law, tax and technology roles.
At 55, we're back to the northwest of England. Merseyside Police has over 6,500 people in its workforce and more than 400 apprentices, including 70 who began the 3-year Police Constable degree apprenticeship in 2024.
Gloucester-based Clarkson Evans is at number 54. It's an electrical contractor that wires homes across England and Wales and is a long-established electrical training specialist. More than a third of its 800 employees are on level 3 electro-technical apprenticeships.
At number 53, Balfour Beatty is an international infrastructure and construction company. More than 750 of its 13,000 employees in the UK are on apprenticeships including civil and mechanical engineering, quantity surveying, electrician, procurement and health and safety.
Capita is at number 52. It's a consulting, digital services and software business with 19,000 employees in the UK. It offers apprenticeships in each of the 4 nations in areas like digital and technology, customer service and business administration.
GXO delivers at number 51. It's an international logistics company with 39,000 employees at 140 sites across the country. In the past year, more than 700 apprentices have started programmes from entry-level to degree apprenticeships. Let's recap on our next 25 employers in the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025.
That's our second countdown done. Well done to everyone who's been ranked so far.
Now, Chanise, you put on your hard hat and high vis to meet the employer at number 70. Let's see how you got on.
I'm in South London to visit the Lee Marley Group, an apprenticeship employer in the construction sector. Its training academy is at the London South Bank Technical College, and I'm seeing Dan Clarkson, the company's Chief Operating Officer.
Lee Marley is the largest integrated brickwork and scaffolding subcontractor in the UK, employing over 1,400 people through London, the South East, Glasgow and Edinburgh. We specialise in essentially wrapping the outside of buildings, high-rise buildings.
The company has over 100 apprentices and opened its own dedicated training academy 2 years ago.
There are a number of reasons why Lee Marley Group uses apprenticeships to train their workforce. Partly it's getting young people into the industry, and actually we've found apprentices are very good at buying into our way of work. What we do is a little bit different from regular house building. In a high-rise environment, there are very specific skill sets that need to be supplemented alongside the conventional brickwork training, and the same goes for our scaffolding apprenticeships also. It's a real key element to actually get skill sets integrated into learning behaviours and get them working out on site as we need them.
Apprenticeships have made a big difference with Lee Marley's recruitment.
Recruitment into construction is difficult, and I think in part because many young people don't really know what construction is about beyond seeing a construction site as they walk to school. We give everybody that passes through the initial assessment phase a month's work experience on site, so they can test to see whether construction's right for them. We can also see whether they've got the right level of aptitude and application to flourish in the construction environment.
The new training academy has been a significant commitment for the company, but has already made a real impact.
Lee Marley Group's chosen to invest heavily in the training academy and into our own apprenticeship programme, primarily because we felt that the existing system didn't serve our needs as well as it should. We felt that there needed to be a lot more intensity in the training that enabled students to be site ready the first time they went out working. Our business is solely dependent on people. It's the biggest asset and our biggest expense, and we need to secure the future of the business by having good quality tradespeople and management working with us.
Dominic Lawrence is one of Lee Marley's current apprentices. He's on the 18-month Level 2 Bricklayer Apprenticeship.
I'm not an academic person. I'm smart, but I wouldn't want to sit in an office job and do anything sort of along that line. So I thought if I get an apprenticeship, I can come out of it with a qualification and still a nice bit of money for once I finished. I found out about Lee Marley just through the internet. I was searching everywhere for an apprenticeship. Everywhere I was calling up wouldn't even message me back or anything like that. I sort of emailed them and they actually replied, so I sort of went for an interview and then luckily got through.
The apprenticeship begins with formal, practical training in bricklaying techniques.
So obviously started 6 weeks in college, which was learning the basics and fundamentals, which I think is good because then when you went to site, I could go on there confidently and not have to worry about messing up. I do genuinely love it. It's buzzing. I love it when I build walls, and once you finish the job and you step back and look at what you've done, you realise how much you are improving.
It took Dominic a little while to get used to working full time.
It was hard at the start to do the working days because you come back and you're absolutely knackered, and then all of a sudden you realise you're doing it all over again. If you persevere enough, get into the routine of what you do every day and when to wake up, and then start enjoying and love coming into work.
Being on an apprenticeship rather than just attending college has made a big difference to Dominic.
During our apprenticeship we get 3 or 4 pay rises, so obviously you want to prove your work and your worth to the company, so it makes you want to work harder and learn more. Since starting the apprenticeship, my highlight has been joining in competitions. I've done 2 so far, come 2nd and 3rd. It shows to me that I can prove my worth against other people, and just to represent the company as a whole when I'm working, it just gives me a lot of pride.
Clarissa Thompson is also on the Level 2 Bricklayer Apprenticeship, but she took a different route to her apprenticeship.
Before I began my apprenticeship at Lee Marley, I went from a bar job to having my daughter, so I was a mum before this. My granddad inspired me to become a bricklayer because he used to do it and he let me see a lot, talk to me about everything. It intrigued me from then.
It's been challenging for Clarissa, juggling her apprenticeship while being a working mum, but she's enjoying it and her daughter is too.
When I first started doing this job, she didn't really understand what I was doing. She just thought I was playing with bricks basically, like she does at home. So I videoed myself at work doing some bricklaying and doing some other tasks, and I brought that home and showed her. And she was so amazed, she was so excited. She was like, "Mummy, I really want to do that. I want to do what you do. I want to try it."
Clarissa has had plenty of support and encouragement from Lee Marley during her apprenticeship.
I feel like being able to come into a company that is so openly accepting of a wide range of people and There's no discrimination, there's no judgment. It's just like you put in the work and they will do whatever they can to support you. If we were just doing a normal college course, we'd just be based in the college. Whereas because we're getting paid, we are allowed to go out onto site, we are allowed to try a lot of new things and talk to a lot of people. To me, it's worth it simply because I get to be an inspiration to my daughter, which is the best thing.
It's now my turn to try some bricklaying with the help of Alfie Head, who's just finished his apprenticeship. It was Alfie's family who introduced him to bricklaying and the apprenticeship at Lee Marley.
So I have a brother who was an apprentice at Lee Marley also, and my uncle, he was just self-made. He was just a traditional geezer bricklayer, but I wasn't 100% sure. I don't know if it was my thing. When I picked up a trowel and I laid for the first time, there was just something about it. I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was just meant to be.
Doing an apprenticeship has really suited Alfie.
I've been doing different sort of things, learning not only about brickwork, but academic stuff about brickwork, which I think is definitely one of the most important things, because you can lay a wall, it might not be perfect, but can you lay what's behind the wall safely, following regulations. I have dyslexia. I was terrible at reading in school. I failed so many tests in the college, and now I'm getting a distinction in the endpoint assessment. It just shows how much I improved with my academic ability.
For Alfie, being able to earn during his training has been a big motivation.
Not a lot of people like to learn and get nothing back. I've got to work harder to earn more, and I've got to learn harder to earn more. And then I'm going to learn more because I want to earn more, so it's pushing you in both directions.
Alfie has taken part in many bricklaying competitions throughout his apprenticeship and came first in the London Forterra competition earlier this year.
Then we had the Guild of Bricklayers regional heats, which is the whole of London. I ended up winning that also, which put me to the final in Sunderland, which had the best bricklayers of all regions up and down the UK, which I ended up placing second, which I'm super proud about.
I'm heading outside of the academy to meet Farrell Swaysland, who's on the Level 2 scaffolding apprenticeship. Before he joined Lee Marley, Farrell was doing scaffolding labouring after he left school, but hadn't thought about doing an apprenticeship.
So my mother actually found it. She was right on my back. She was telling me, you're not going to get any qualifications if you keep working on this street firm, this and that. And then she was like, I found you a job and you're going to get an apprenticeship.
From the start of his apprenticeship, Farrell's been alternating between 3 months on site followed by 2 weeks in college. He's been working on a large construction site in West London and was there from the very beginning of the build.
I actually started it. I erected the scaffold from the ground up to the 13th floor on one of the blocks I started on. Took the scaffold up with other scaffolders and then have been doing adaptations on the job, hacky staircases, loading bays, everything that needs to go up for the bricklayers. And yeah, I took that block down as well, so it was good to take down the scaffold that I put up.
Farrell has really enjoyed his apprenticeship and it won't be long before he completes his qualifications.
I think it's great personally because I'm learning, I'm getting paid to learn, and I'm loving life. Like, it's great. My biggest highlight on Lee Marley is working with different people, because every time that I meet someone it's always good vibes and it just makes the job go quicker.
Thank you so much to Lee Marley and the team. They even give me a lovely little souvenir to take home, which I was extremely excited about. They're a great example of how apprenticeships can give school leavers the skills and training that prepare them for a lifelong career in the construction industry. Now, before our next countdown, Martin is going to explain some of the research behind the new Top 100.
This year's Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers features employers from over 20 different sectors, with professional services firms making up the largest group, followed by health and social care providers, construction companies and childcare providers. Across the Top 100, there are 7 organisations with more than 50,000 employees, but over a fifth of employers featured in the rankings have a workforce of 1,000 staff or fewer, so this isn't a league table just for the country's biggest employers. The Top 100 sets out to recognise employers that have the strongest apprenticeship culture, which means it takes into account the proportion of an employer's workforce who are on apprenticeship programmes, not just their total number of apprentices. At a quarter of this year's Top 100 employers, an impressive 15% or more of their employees are apprentices. These bars show the number of apprentices employed by each of the top 100 employers. Although several of the largest employers on the left have over 2,000 apprentices each, I've picked out 2 employers on the right who have much smaller numbers, fewer than 200 apprentices. But when we look at those same employers in terms of the percentage of their workforce who are apprentices, they're among the highest in this year's rankings and undoubtedly have a very strong apprenticeship culture at their organisations. The scores for the top 100 rankings are compiled from 3 key pieces of data, the first of which is the number of new apprenticeship starts at employers last year. A quarter of employers had more than 500 new starts. Just over a quarter had between 250 and 500 new starts, and almost half had up to 100 new apprenticeship starts in the last year. During 2024, more than 42,000 apprentices started an apprenticeship at the top 100 employers. That's over 10% of all new starts in the UK last year. 3/5 of these new starts were entry-level apprentices, so Level 2 or Level 3 apprenticeships in England, or their equivalent in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. 1/5 were higher-level apprenticeships, so Levels 4 or 5 in England, and the comparable apprenticeships in the other nations. And just under 1/5 were degree-level, so Levels 6 or 7 in England, graduate apprenticeships in Scotland, or degree apprenticeships in Wales and Northern Ireland. If we look at new starts by industry or business sector, the armed forces had the largest number during the past year, almost 9,000 apprenticeships. There were more than 4,500 new starts in the health and social care sector and a similar number in professional services. It was interesting to see how apprentices arrived onto their programmes. It's easy to assume that most would be new recruits who joined in order to do an apprenticeship, but across the top 100 employers, more than 2/5 of those who started an apprenticeship were existing employees. The second aspect assessed by the top 100 apprenticeship employers is the diversity of apprentices starting a new apprenticeship over the last year. On average, 59% of apprentices are men and 41% are women. 1 in 6 are black, Asian or minority ethnic apprentices, 2/3 are aged 16 to 24, and 11% have a learning difficulty and or a disability. And finally, we examine the number of apprentices who successfully completed their apprenticeships over the past year. At a quarter of employers, up to 50 apprentices completed their apprenticeships last year, whereas 1 in 10 employers reported that over 500 of their apprentices had completed their apprenticeships. The medium number was 150 successful completions per employer. So that's the data behind the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025. Let's find out who's next in this year's rankings.
We're into the top half of this year's countdown with United Lincolnshire Hospitals NHS Trust. It's the 4th of 7 NHS trusts in the rankings, and more than 500 of its 9,000 staff are apprentices on programmes from Levels 2 to Level 7.
At number 49, Hopscotch Day Nurseries is one of the smaller apprenticeship employers in the new Top 100. More than 1/5 of its 180 employees are on apprenticeships, working at its 10 nurseries on the south coast of England.
The third of just 3 major government departments to feature in this year's Top 100 is at number 48. DWP, the Department for Work and Pensions, has over 90,000 employees, and it's our first employer in the rankings with more than 2,000 apprentices.
Amazon are at number 47. The online retailer, digital streaming and cloud computing company is one of the world's best-known brands. It has 75,000 employees in the UK, including more than 1,000 apprentices who began their apprenticeships in the last year on one of the company's 40 different programmes.
Green King, the pub company and brewer that runs over 2,700 pubs, restaurants and hotels across the UK, is at number 46. It employs more than 1,000 apprentices, providing a pathway from front of house and kitchen roles to supervisory and management positions.
Our second local government employer in this year's rankings is at number 45. Led by Mayor Andy Burnham, the Greater Manchester Combined Authority has 2,500 staff, and more than 100 of these started an apprenticeship in the past year, with programmes available at levels 3, 4 and 7.
We return to the construction sector at number 44. The Bell Group is one of the country's largest property services contractors. 1 in 6 of its 1,800 employees are on an apprenticeship in trades such as painting and decorating, plastering, carpentry and joinery, and quantity surveying.
At 43, it's the Transport UK Group. Formerly Abellio UK, it's the company that runs train services in Merseyside, the Midlands and East Anglia, as well as buses on routes in London. It employs more than 500 apprentices across its operations.
London-based accountancy firm Moore Kingston Smith is at number 42. It took on over 100 new apprentices in 2024, and more than a fifth of the firm's 1,200 employees are now school leavers or graduates on level 4 or level 7 accountancy apprenticeships.
At number 41, it's DIY and home improvement retailer B&Q. It offers apprenticeship programs at every level from 2 to 7, including customer service, finance, human resources, trade supplier, marketing, supply chain, and the Chartered Manager degree apprenticeship.
One place ahead, and we're back to the professional services sector, this time for Karula Group. The Warrington-based firm provides accountancy, tax and payroll services to contractors and small businesses, and more than a quarter of its 300 employees are on an apprenticeship.
Superdrug is at number 39. It's the highest ranked retailer in this year's Top 100, and more than 500 of its 20,000 employees started apprenticeships in the last year, at stores around the country and at its head office in Croydon.
Formed from the merger of Redrow Homes and Barratt Developments in 2024, house builder Barratt Redrow is the top-rated construction company in this year's rankings. It has over 400 entry-level trade, technical and commercial apprentices and higher and degree apprentices in construction, quantity surveying and real estate.
At number 37, Action for Children is the only charity to be ranked in the new Top 100. It provides practical and emotional care and support for more than 600,000 children and their families each year. The charity has 3,800 staff, 1 in 8 of whom are on apprenticeships.
Kiddo Schools is at number 36. It's the 4th of 10 childcare employers in the new rankings and runs 18 nurseries in Greater London. Almost a fifth of its 550 employees started an early years apprenticeship in the last year.
Whitbread, the company behind the Premier Inn hotel chain and restaurant brands like Beefeater and Brewers Fayre, is at number 35. More than 900 of its employees began apprenticeships in the past year across the business in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland.
We're back to the childcare sector for Tops Day Nurseries at number 34. It looks after more than 4,000 children each week at over 30 nurseries across southern England, and 1 in 6 of its 680 employees are on an apprenticeship.
PKF Francis Clark is at number 33. It's a firm of accountants with over 900 staff working across 9 offices in the southwest of England. The firm currently has over 200 trainees on apprenticeship programs at levels 3, 4 and 7.
At number 32, the BBC is the nation's broadcaster. Apprenticeships at the corporation have more than doubled in the past 5 years, with opportunities in almost every part of the BBC, from journalism, production and broadcast engineering to cybersecurity, marketing, AI and data science.
Evolve Care and Support is at number 31. It's one of the country's largest providers of adult residential care, supported living and complex nursing care. 1 in 10 of its 4,000 staff are apprentices, working in over 180 locations across the UK.
At number 30, Buzzacott is our 9th professional services firm so far in the new rankings. It's the largest single office firm in the UK, with over 600 employees under one roof in St Paul's, London. Almost a quarter of its staff are trainees on apprenticeship programmes at level 3, 4 and 7.
We stay with professional services but return to the north of England for Armstrong Watson, the business advisors and accountants at number 29. A fifth of the firm's employees are apprentices on the accounting or tax technician or payroll administrator programmes.
The Go Ahead Group is at number 28, one of the best known names in the transport sector. It operates buses in London and many of the English regions, as well as the Govia Thameslink Railway. It recruited over 700 bus and rail apprentices last year for roles such as drivers, engineering technicians and customer services.
At 27, the North West Ambulance Service NHS Trust is one of the country's largest ambulance services, with over 7,700 employees working across its region. The service has more than 700 apprentices almost half of whom started their apprenticeships in the past year.
And at number 26, Forvis Mazars is our next professional services firm. A fifth of its 3,500 staff are apprentices, and its school leaver programme offers 4 or 5 year apprenticeships in audit, tax or accounting. So that's our third group of employers in the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025. So that's our next 25 employers revealed, and it means we've now announced 3/4 of the employers in this year's rankings. I'm with 2 apprentices who are working for employers featured in the latest part of the countdown, Graham Petrie from Armstrong Watson and Lauren Quigley from Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service. Now, I am so excited that you're here on this sofa and about to tell us a bit about your stories and your apprenticeship journeys. Lauren, I'm going to come to you first, if that's okay. So you are part of Greater Manchester's Fire and Rescue Service, which is a huge part of Greater Manchester Combined Authority, and has just been named 45 in the top 100.
Wow, nice.
Well done, you're in the top 50. Deserves a bit of a round of applause, I think.
Thank you very much.
Now, Lauren, you have a really interesting story in that you were a former Team GB swimmer and silver medalist at the Commonwealth Games, and now you're sitting here on the sofa as a firefighter. How did that happen? Like, why did you want to become a firefighter rather than pursuing a role in a professional sports career?
Well, I think naturally my swimming came to an end, so I'd trained for 10 times a week for a long time, started very early. So yeah, naturally that came to an end and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go next. I'd had a friend who was in the fire service for a long time and they'd always said, you'd be great, you know, there's a lot of crossovers. You keep fit, you work as a team, you know. Yes, there's some things that are difficult to manage, but that's what we train for. And yeah, there's just loads of crossovers to sport, so it just fit in perfectly and I went for it and, you know, it went really well.
Amazing. And what was that transition like from being a full-time athlete to now being in a full-time, I don't know how to describe, like a normal job, but it's not necessarily normal either.
Yeah. I think the transition, so finishing sport's never easy. That's, you know, your life and everything goes towards that. So you have a period, you know, a lot of athletes do where they're not sure what they want to do. And then as soon as I joined the fire service, you know, you're around people that are very like-minded. We just want to help the community. It's a very rewarding job with that. So yeah, just transition-wise, fit in quite well, got into shifts really easily, got on really well with my watch and I've loved it, so.
Oh, I love that. Now, Graham, I'm going to bring you into the conversation if that's okay. So you're at Armstrong Watson, which is a firm of accountants based up in the north of England and across Scotland. Now, you've been with the firm for quite a long time now, I'd say August 2020. Yep. You've gone from doing their AAT level 3 apprenticeship all the way through, and now you're doing a level 7 to become a fully qualified ACA chartered accountant. Did you always want to be an accountant?
Yes, yeah, so I had a family business in building, which is completely different, and I wasn't really built for the hands-on role of that. So my uncle and my granddad one day just turned around and said, would you like to put some invoices on Xero, which is an accountancy software that we use day to day now, and I loved it. So from there I was like, why not to go into an apprenticeship in accountancy? So I had a look around and applied for Armstrong Watson, not thinking I'd get it, and then obviously got it, and from there it's been a brilliant journey so far.
Amazing. So did you join your apprenticeship straight from school, and why not go to university?
Yes, so I joined straight from school, and probably the biggest reason for me was I've always learned better on the job. I'm not really good at being taught by being spoken to. I'm much better at obviously reaping the rewards as you do it. Obviously you get out what you put in, and you get out what you put in a lot quicker learning on the job. So that's probably the biggest reason why an apprenticeship was a route for me.
And that's it. I guess university, kind of, you don't really get that hands-on experience that you're talking about here that you get within your apprenticeship.
No, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so Lauren, let's bring you back into the conversation. What has your apprenticeship involved, and how hard has the or challenging, let's say, has the training been? Because I know you've been up to a lot.
Yeah. It's there's a load that you don't even realise. You know, you see firefighters and you think, right, they're going to go fight fires, but there's loads of training that's involved with road traffic collisions, cutting up cars. We get to do a lot of that in training, so obviously we need to be there and ready to know what to do. We have rope rescue, water rescue, obviously the fires themselves. We have lots of different jobs and roles that we do, and it was difficult, but fitness-wise, I think, you know, I'd built an engine with swimming, so going into the fire service, again, like I said before, it suited me really well, and I was able to, fitness-wise, get through and just learn as much as I could for to be a good firefighter, yeah.
It's really interesting the amount of stuff that you've done so far in your apprenticeship and then brought that into, like, from your training into real life. What are the sorts of things that us sitting at home probably wouldn't know you have to do as a firefighter?
I think we have to communicate a lot with the other emergency services. So police, ambulance, we all work together, and so we have to sometimes gain entry for both of those, or you know, it is working a lot. Like I said before, rope rescue, you know, you don't think you'd see the firefighters doing that, but we have to be trained, ready to go if we need to help the community. So yeah, there's lots of different things. I've saved a cat out of a tree, so I think my apprenticeship has been successful. But yeah, there's lots of different things.
There's the highlight so far,
there
isn't it?
Go.
There's the cat under the tree that you've rescued. Just quickly, Graham, I just wanted to ask, accountancy is quite a difficult apprenticeship. There's lots of exams and lots going on. It can be quite a long time. And how difficult or challenging has it been to balance that studying for the professional qualifications while working and trying to have a personal life?
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be lying if I said it wasn't challenging. But I think, especially at Armstrong, what's in the management, the help they give you is second to none. Obviously doing so many exams and having such a workload at the same time, the way they treat you and obviously make it as manageable as possible. You'd think management of an accountancy firm would be more hands-off than they are, but yeah, they are there to help and obviously make it as easy and as obviously as manageable as possible.
Oh, amazing. Thank you both so much. You've been absolutely fantastic. That is Lauren Quigley from Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service and Graham Petrie, who is working for Armstrong & Watson accounting firm.
Now, I'm delighted we can speak to Richard Hamer, Director of Education and Skills at BAE Systems. Richard, thank you very much for joining us. Now, BAE Systems is the country's largest defence employer. Tell us a little bit why apprenticeships play such a key part in some very complex skills needs.
BAE Systems has a very trusted and hugely responsible role providing and supporting for our defence services here in the UK and overseas. In particular, at the current time, we've got a record order book and more than 40,000 staff, 45,000 staff here in the UK, and more than 4,500 apprentices. So more than 10% of our workforce are apprentices, which is amazing. And we need those because we have many complex skills, and those are kind of graduate level skills in terms of nuclear engineering or aerospace engineering or software engineering, but also those essential underpinning skills like welding, pipe fitting, electrical fitting, mechanical fitting, all sorts of things. And in fact, 2/3 of our apprentices are advanced and intermediate apprentices, and 1/3 degree and higher apprentices. Those skills are essential. Without those, we can't sustain the programs upon which we depend, upon which the country depends.
And of course, defence as an industry, these are some incredibly long-term projects, aren't they? So it could be years or even decades before things come to fruition. Apprenticeships are a very important part of building that talent pipeline.
That is certainly the case. I mean, here in the air sector, the Typhoon started its genesis back in the 1970s, and actually we're still maintaining Typhoons into the 2060s. So that's almost 100 years within one platform, from design, manufacture and maintenance to actually completion. So they are extraordinary timeframes, and they require us to plan and manage different skill sets over that whole period.
And of course, BAE Systems isn't just a major employer, you're also the heart of lots of communities around the country.
Yes, I mean, Apprenticeships and BAE Systems, we're a national company, but we're almost very much also a local company. So be it here in Preston and Blackburn, we depend upon our local community and they depend upon us. Typically, apprentices apply to a local employer and they travel less than an hour to work. So the local community is absolutely essential for us. It's the same also in Barrow, where we make nuclear submarines. And so we've got a special relationship with our local community. We need to ensure that the local education providers, the local authority, whatever, is in a good place to help us, and we need to support them. And through programs too, like Movement to Work, where we work with young and employed, we ensure that there's a a range of opportunities for young people for whatever level education they're at and whatever age or level they're at. So the opportunities, from level 2 to level 7 apprenticeships, they're here in BAE Systems.
It's such an inspiring story. Thank you, Richard. Richard Hamer, Director of Education and Skills. Now, it means that we're ready for our next countdown. We're back to the top 100 apprenticeship employers. Let's see where we get to in the rankings. We return to the new rankings with Babcock International at number 25. It delivers complex engineering services for the defence, emergency services and nuclear sectors. It's our 6th employer so far, with more than 1,500 apprentices working at sites across England, Wales and Scotland.
Well known to commuters and leisure travellers in its region, Southeastern operates train services between London, Kent and East Sussex and has over 500 apprentices working on the railway, including train drivers and apprenticeships in engineering, business and customer service roles.
At number 23, it's EY, the second of the Big Four accounting and professional services to appear in this year's rankings. EY has 1,500 apprentices with school leaver and graduate programmes in areas like assurance, tax, strategy and transactions, technology and consulting.
We stay with accounting and professional services for Assets at number 22. It has almost 4,000 partners and specialists at more than 60 offices across England, and 1 in 6 of its employees are apprentices on apprenticeships at level 3, 4 and 7.
At number 21, Grandir UK operates over 80 day nurseries and preschools across the country. Last year, almost 200 of its 2,500 staff began an entry-level early years educator apprenticeship or progressed to a level 5 lead practitioner apprenticeship.
We've arrived at the top 20 and stay with the childcare sector. Bright Horizons runs more than 300 nurseries across the UK, and over 700 of its 7,500 employees are apprentices, training to become experienced and qualified early years practitioners.
At 19, Voyage Care is a social care provider, supporting 3,500 vulnerable adults and children with learning disabilities, autism, brain injuries and complex needs. More than 600 of its 10,000 employees are currently on apprenticeships, which offer a career pathway from support worker to field support supervisor and on to service manager.
We return to accountancy and professional services with BDO at number 18. 1 in 8 of its employees are apprentices, and the firm has recruited over 300 in the past year for its 4-year level 7 apprenticeships that lead to a professional qualification in tax or audit.
At number 17, Kids Planet Day Nurseries is our 3rd highest ranking childcare employer in the new top 100. It has more than 200 nurseries nationwide, and 400 of its 6,800 employees are on early years apprenticeships at levels 2, 3 or 5.
1 place ahead, and we're sticking with the childcare sector for the Child-Based Partnership. It's an employee-owned company that runs over 40 nurseries in the Midlands and the south of England and has 2,000 staff. In the past year, over 400 of its employees have started early years apprenticeships at the company.
At number 15, Mitchells & Butlers operates over 1,700 pubs and restaurants all across the UK, and more than 1,500 of its 47,000 employees are apprentices on its bar and waiting, chef or management apprenticeship programmes.
With more than 850 depots and 11,500 employees nationwide, Howden supplies kitchens, joinery and hardware to almost 500,000 trades professionals. It's at number 14 in the rankings, having recruited over 500 new apprentices in the past year.
The global professional services company Aon is at number 13. In this country, it has over 1,000 apprentices and offers apprenticeship programmes in actuarial work, client management, insurance and reinsurance, investment consulting and employee benefits.
Yorkshire Ambulance Service is at number 12. 1 in 10 of its 7,600 staff are apprentices, including ambulance support workers, associate practitioners and paramedic degree apprentices, as well as roles in support services like finance and learning and development.
And just missing out on a place in the new top 10, Bishop Fleming is our 16th employer from the professional services sector. It offers level 7 accountancy apprenticeship programmes for both school leavers and graduates, leading to the Chartered Accountancy qualification. So let's remind ourselves of the employers from numbers 25 to 11. So that's 15 more of the country's top apprenticeship employers. Well done to all of you.
Martin's been on the road to see one of the employers that we've just heard about. Well, not so much road as rail this time.
This year marks the 200th anniversary of railways in the UK, and I've travelled to Ramsgate on the south coast of Kent to spend the day with Southeastern Railway Company. More than 1 in 10 of its employees are on apprenticeships, and I'm starting at its Ramsgate depot to see one of its engineering apprentices.
I'm Jamie. I work at Southeastern as an apprentice, and I'm doing a rail technician level 3 BTEC apprenticeship.
While Jamie was in 6th form, he did some work experience at Southeastern.
I learned more about the apprenticeship, what it entails, when to apply, and luckily enough for me, I got in. My dad was a train driver on the railway, so that was a big influence. I've loved trains my entire life.
Jamie's apprenticeship began with around 9 months at a local technical college with workshops and classroom learning.
So your workshops will teach you all your functional skills, which you'll definitely use here. I learned about pneumatics and hydraulics, and then moved on to mechanics, taking things apart, putting them back together, learning all your tools, and then moving on to probably the harder side of it, electrics. So you learn all your wires, how to put a circuit together, how a circuit works, and then you use fault find and fix the circuit.
Jamie's now in the 2nd year of his apprenticeship and is working in the depot 4 days a week.
Some trains will spend a day in here, go back out for bigger maintenance exams or projects. They'll spend multiple days. If it's a defect, it can be in and out within a few hours, but it just depends on how severe it is. I like to bounce between defects, so things that aren't scheduled, just things that have gone wrong in the service and you need to fix. So for example, the safety systems in the cab, so you have your AWS, automatic warning system, your TPWS, train protection warning system. There's a lot of things that keep the driver alert, the driver aware of what's happening, what's going to happen, so making sure they're all working.
Jamie knows he's made the right decision to do an apprenticeship.
I definitely recommend getting an apprenticeship, 100%. You get your work experience, you get your qualification at the same time, so you've got the best of both worlds, really. The skills I've learned have been fantastic, but nothing will replace the friendships I've made, especially with the people in my year. Just something I'll treasure for years to come, I think.
It won't be long before Jamie completes his apprenticeship and starts working full-time.
I'll move on to a more permanent role in depot. I'd like to become an SE1, a service engineer level 1, which is a qualified engineer here, and hopefully as time goes on I can move up within the ranks, as they say.
It's time for me to head over to the station to meet Debbie Fifield. She's returned to work recently after many years looking after her disabled son and is now doing Southeastern's onboard manager apprenticeship. I'm joining her on the high-speed train to Ashford.
Once we've completed our training and passed out from the training school, then we go out with our onboard manager instructor. They show us the jobs, and when they feel that we are ready to do the job by ourselves, we take our compliance and competency tests and then we go out and do the job.
Onboard managers work a shift pattern at Southeastern.
If I was on an early shift, I would arrive in the morning. My schedule sheet would tell me what trains I'm taking. I'd get on board, let the driver know that I was there, and start by making the first announcements, and generally just walk through the train, make sure everything is as it should be. My role as an onboard manager is customer service and ticket checks, revenue, but primarily it's safety. So it is my role to ensure that everybody is safe while using our services.
Debbie is passengers' main point of contact during their journeys.
The most difficult parts of my role are dealing with delays. At any point, something could go wrong on the railway. And because of that, you need to be flexible, so just ready for anything, really. The best bits are trains where everybody is off out for the day, really happy, and you can walk through and have some great conversations with our passengers.
Debbie has now completed all the formal training and learning for her apprenticeship and is due to take her endpoint assessment in the next few weeks, when she'll become a fully qualified onboard manager.
I would say that doing an apprenticeship is more than worthwhile. It gets you the qualifications that you need to do the job. You learn along the way, and you can put that into practice every day while you're carrying out your role. Being able to earn as I learn has made a big difference. It means that hopefully in a month's time I'll have a passenger transport operative qualification, but I haven't had to pay out for any of that. For me, that's fabulous. It hasn't cost me anything to learn a whole load of new skills.
We've arrived in Ashford and I'm visiting the Southeastern Training Centre to talk to one of the company's newest train drivers, Nicky Harding, who began his train driver apprenticeship earlier this year.
For the last 21 years I've been a police officer, serving in the Ministry of Defence Police and Metropolitan Police. Before coming here, been a firearms officer and working diplomatic premises and places like Parliament as well. I feel like I'm now a very mature student coming over and starting a completely new skill, but people that have made that step said, look, there is life outside of the police service and you're more than capable of doing it.
The first 6 months of the apprenticeship are spent in one of Southeastern's training schools to enable apprentices to learn the railway rules and regulations.
We have simulator driving, so the stuff that you're learning in the classroom you can actually put into action, chucking incidents at you. So you're driving lovely and then all of a sudden you might have a train on fire coming towards you, and then how you actually deal with that and putting that information and all the stuff you've learned into practice.
Once the initial training is complete, it's time to begin driving on the railway.
I came over on the 24th of February and literally my first proper day in a train was yesterday. What I'm waiting for now is a driving instructor who then will mentor me through the next 100 and odd hours where I'll actually then start to drive a train.
Nicky is enjoying his apprenticeship and is due to become a fully qualified driver early next year. But he admits he was nervous at the start.
It was a little bit worrying in a way, as in like, I'm 43 and I'm going to be an apprentice. But from everything that I've seen so far, it's been a really good scheme and we get a lot of support. The transition's been really good.
While I'm in the training centre, I've the chance to speak to one of Southeastern's more experienced apprentices.
My name is Stephen Ellis. I'm on a level 5 learning and development consultant apprenticeship, and currently I'm a training delivery manager for the training department here in Ashford.
He's been a railwayman for 14 years and joined Southeastern in 2020 as a driver apprentice. He's been working in training for the past 18 months.
I have a team here at Ashford of 10 trainers. They primarily trainee drivers. We would get them in fresh-faced and they would teach them the rules. We would start them off on the simulator to start looking at transferring that knowledge into skills. A lot of people outside of the railway think a train driver just pushes a stick up and down, so for them it can be quite challenging to start with.
He started his own apprenticeship a few weeks ago.
It's investing time in myself, that's the way I look at it. But I want to go forward in my career, I want to be head of training, you know, so for me that complements me trying to achieve that.
It's time for me to continue my journey with Southeastern, and on the train to London, I'm joined by Sarah Jones, the company's head of apprenticeships.
We started with a really small cohort of 10, 15 apprentices, and we've just grown and grown as the business has grown. We're the biggest we've ever been, with 520 apprentices on programme, and we have groups starting with us just about every week. Southeastern has an impressive success rate for its apprenticeships. We are super proud of our completion rates here at Southeastern. We're averaging in the 90–95% range in terms of completions, and even more exciting, that is helping us with our retention rates. We are seeing people who want to stay within the industry, who want to progress in their careers, and it's amazing to watch it grow. All of our careers have very strong pathways, and the great thing about the railway is the world is your oyster. I always say you can go anywhere. Arriving into London, I'm finishing my day at Southeastern's headquarters near London Bridge. I'm meeting Steve Foster, People and Culture Director, who's seen firsthand the impact that apprenticeships have made at the company.
Over the last few years, the culture at Southeastern has changed. Apprenticeships have played a part in that, bringing new people into the business. But I think what has also helped is recognising that you can use apprenticeships to upskill existing staff. So that additional focus on talent, retention and individual development has really helped with our culture here at Southeastern.
This move to an apprenticeship culture has made a real difference to how Southeastern recruits and develops its staff.
The ability to learn and earn at the same time is really, really vital. So you need to understand that school or university is not for everyone. It might not have been the right learning environment, or you might have been too young. So the apprenticeships really help people, that sense of recognition and achievement, and broader life skills as well.
For Steve, working on the railway is very different to other industries and employment sectors.
So when people say, why should I join rail? I say this isn't just a job, it's a career. So you could spend your entire life in the railway, and you could do numerous jobs, you could chop and change, and I think the support that you get through the apprenticeships really helps people do that. So to be recognised and included in the top 100 is a fantastic achievement. I think it goes to show the commitment of the organisation, perhaps most importantly the hard work of the apprenticeship team and the support that we get from line managers, and also not forgetting the learners themselves.
Many thanks to Southeastern. They're a really inspiring example of how apprenticeships can make such a difference to how employers recruit and develop the skilled staff they need. Now Chanise has grabbed her work coat and is headed for the workshop.
Yes, I've come to the main workshop here at the Academy for Skills and Knowledge to meet more of BAE Systems apprentices. Izzy, it is so cool to be in this workshop. Can you tell me a little bit about what you actually do here and what you actually do with all these machines?
Yeah, so for my apprenticeship, we spend the first year in here learning a specific trade. So we'll dot around all the different sections until the company feel we're properly prepared to actually go out into the business and start working on aircraft parts. So this machine specifically is a CNC lathe, so cylindrical metal spins really fast, and then a tool comes in and cuts some really detailed parts.
We've got them here. Okay, amazing. Tell me about what you've been doing on your apprenticeship as well to get to this point.
So yeah, as I say, so the first year is solely in here, so they'll make sure we know the absolute basics, work us up, we'll do assignment pieces and assessments and practicals until we can go out into the business and work to very specific tolerances. We know how to operate the machines safely because they are dangerous pieces of kit, and yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know them and they want to work in manufacturing here at BAE Systems, how long is this apprenticeship for? What is it actually called? What do people need to search for if they want to be like you?
So mine's the manufacturing apprenticeship. It's a 4-year scheme and it's a level 3, so you just need your GCSEs for it.
Yeah. When you were back in college to now, did you ever think you were going to be here at this point working for BAE Systems?
So yeah, actually since I was 13 it was always my plan to go into an apprenticeship. My sister did the same scheme at a different company and I was like, yes, that's what I want to do.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's always been my plan to do this.
Oh, amazing. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm now going to go and speak to a couple of your colleagues, but good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Hey guys.
Hi.
So you're both engineering apprentices but do very different things. Tell me a bit about what you've been doing on your apprenticeship.
So I'm an engineering degree apprentice, which is a level 6 scheme, and I'm just over halfway through the 5-year-long course, which involves rotational placements around the business. For example, I work in flight simulation at the moment.
Amazing. Jack,
and I'm Jack, and I'm an engineering technician. So it's a level 3 course, 4 years, and I'm currently in the 3rd year. And I'm currently based at RAF Leeming on the Hawk project.
Nice. Are there any particular things that you really enjoy about your apprenticeship?
So I'm a STEM ambassador, which means I get to go out and engage the younger generation around science, technology, engineering and maths. For example, last year I was fortunate enough to go to RIAT, which is the Royal International Air Tattoo, which was a really exciting experience.
Amazing. So you're like inspiring the next generation too. I love that. Jack, is there anything in particular, any particular projects that you like or things that you like working on?
They're all, each to their own. There's so many different projects and things to do in BAE Systems. There's opportunities for everyone, no matter what you're interested in. There's so many just experiences, and especially with a placement like this, you're just here, there, everywhere.
Yeah. Is there any advice that you have for anyone watching this who think that's what I want to do with my life? What advice have you got for those future apprentices?
I would say to do a lot of research because there's so many different things at the company. A lot of it I hadn't heard of before I joined BAE Systems. And if you're interested in any area of STEM, then there'll be a job here for you.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely just speak to people, find what you're interested in, do your research and apply. Many people hesitate. I think, as they say, if you don't shoot, you don't score. Best thing to do, just apply.
And in terms of your future, so I think, Caitlin, you said you've got a little halfway graduation coming soon. Jack, you're about to finish, kind of.
There, yeah,
almost there. Almost at the last hurdle.
Last hurdle, yeah.
What does the future hold for both of you?
So for me, I'd like to continue my academic progression and hopefully do a master's and PhD with the company and then achieve chartership while staying at the company and progressing on a professional level too.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to settle down in probably flight test, the amount of opportunity there is phenomenal. And then just see where that takes me really, whether I do a degree or just focus on work experience. Not too sure yet.
Nice. Well, thank you both so much for talking to me. It's been so amazing hearing about everything that you're doing here at BAE Systems.
I'm really pleased to be joined by Zoe Thomas from the Sunday Times. Zoe, welcome to the programme. Now, it's fantastic the Sunday Times is bringing the top 100 to the widest possible audience of employers, school and college leavers, parents, all of those who may be interested in apprenticeships. But where does the top 100 fit into the Sunday Times' other education and employment coverage?
Well, we are the leading newspaper for all things education and employment related. We already offer like a broad stable of authoritative guides on things like universities. So the Good University Guide this year is entering its 31st year, so we do have a long history in this arena. We offer the best places to work as well, and of course the best schools guide, Parent Power. So it's a very natural fit for us.
Fantastic. Well, it's interesting you mentioned the Good University Guide, because the latest government figures tell us that twice as many people began an apprenticeship last year compared with those who actually started a graduate job after leaving university. So how attractive does that mean that apprenticeships should be perhaps for school and college leavers?
I mean, it's always made sense on paper, but I think increasingly young people are thinking about their options more clearly, because as well as the dearth of graduate level jobs after graduating, there's also the rising cost of living while you are a student, and it's causing a lot of people to think twice before going down that route. Much as I wouldn't say that university is a bad choice, but it's certainly good to think of all of the options. And so degree apprenticeships are very, very persuasive. You know, you've got that debt-free route to potentially a full degree, but of course there are many different types of apprenticeships as well, so you can go in at different levels. They're suitable for young people and people of all state ages, but particularly school leavers of different academic levels, and they can take things through to a very senior level as well. So they do provide many different pathways, and I can see that increasingly their attractions are very obvious.
So gone are the days where everyone is shoveled off to university just because that's the only route that's offered. Now, you wouldn't think that apprenticeships would be particularly politically contentious, but it's interesting that the Labour government have made a number of changes in their first year. So what's caught your eye?
Well, I mean, the obvious one is the fact that they're defunding the level 7 master's level apprenticeships, but most of them anyway. And it seems a real shame, because these are one of the fastest growing apprenticeship areas. They're really valuable. These are the master's level, really kind of people have worked very hard to get to that point. And they are still being offered for those who are over 21, but that it's really going to limit that funding, and that's a real shame. They have instead brought in a more lower level apprenticeships, so there are those, they're 8 months long, so quite a different approach to apprenticeships. And there's a new governing body which is overseeing all things apprenticeship related, so things are coming under one umbrella.
Of course, Skills England, yes.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So the Top 100 is being featured by the Sunday Times this weekend. What should we be looking out for?
Well, there's a lot to look out for. I'm pleased to say that there's a broad cross-section of employers listed, and it really is, it really does cover lots of places that you might not imagine will be there, as well as some that you might think will be. You really have got some niche kind of family-run heritage businesses. You've got blue chips. You've got private companies. You've got public sector organisations. So there really is a huge broad cross-section, and these are places that are committed to continuing to offer fantastic apprenticeship opportunities for people across all levels. So we're delighted to be able to list them.
Fantastic. So all of the employers we've been hearing about today, we can read more about them and what it is they're offering in terms of apprenticeships.
We'll be profiling them all in our guide.
Very exciting. Well, Zoe, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. So now is the moment of truth, where we find out which employers are at the very top of this year's rankings.
We're into the new top 10 with the Keys Group, which provides specialist education, care and activities for more than 2,000 children, young people, adults and families across England and Wales. Over 600 of its 9,000 employees are on apprenticeships designed to provide structured career pathways through the organisation.
BAE Systems is at number 9. The British Defence, Security and Aerospace Company has almost 4,500 apprentices and is the biggest apprenticeship employer in the rankings so far. It offers entry-level programmes in areas like engineering, project management, aircraft maintenance, finance and business.
At number 8, PwC is confirmed as the highest ranking Big 4 accounting and professional services firm in the new Top 100. With over 1,700 apprentices on entry-level programmes in audit, consulting, deals, operations and tax, plus digital and technology degree apprenticeships.
We stay with the professional services at number 7 for Grant Thornton. 1 in 6 of the firm's 5,000 staff are apprentices, with school leaver programmes available in audit, tax and business advisory at levels 4 and 7. And the firm achieved one of this year's highest scores for the diversity of its new apprentices.
At number 6, RSM is confirmed as this year's highest ranking apprenticeship employer from the accounting and professional services sector. The firm has more than 4,500 staff at 31 offices around the UK and has over 900 apprentices, half of whom began their apprenticeships in the past year.
We've reached the top 5 with the Royal Air Force. It's a very significant apprenticeship employer with almost 4,000 apprentices and more than 20 different apprenticeship programmes, from air operations, logistics and engineering and technical to the RAF police and medical support.
At number 4, it's a great result for Busy Bees Nursery. Founded in 1983, Busy Bees now runs 390 nurseries and has more than 10,000 staff nationwide. Nearly 1 in 8 of its employees are apprentices, and over 500 apprentices successfully completed their apprenticeships at Busy Bees last year.
Into the top 3, and it's congratulations to the London Ambulance Service. 750 of its 5,000 frontline, control room and support staff are apprentices, including 170 who began the paramedic degree apprenticeship last year. The service has one of the highest diversity scores of all the employers featured in the new Top 100.
So, we have just 2 employers remaining, and it's an impressive result for the Royal Navy at number 2. It has almost 7,000 apprentices and offers more than 40 different apprenticeship programmes. New recruits joining the Royal Navy as ratings are automatically enrolled onto Level 2 apprenticeships, and an accelerated scheme is available for engineering, information systems and submariner apprentices.
Which means we've arrived at the top of this year's rankings. The number 1 employer in the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025 with 13,000 apprentices is the British Army. Many congratulations to them for their huge commitment to employing apprentices and for providing so many apprenticeship opportunities right across the British Army. And it's great that we're joined by Colonel Alex Burt from the British Army. Firstly, well done on being named the country's number 1 apprenticeship employer for the 5th year running. It really is a tremendous result. Now, we've heard some of the numbers, nearly 13,000 apprentices at the moment. How does the British Army use apprenticeships to train and develop all the skills that you need?
Excellent, thank you. And I'd just like to say thank you very much for the recognition on behalf of myself and the wider team. And we're really pleased that we've managed to retain our position. So apprenticeships are such a fundamental part of the Army offer, and the Army Apprenticeship Programme impacts on all stages of our employees' life cycle. So they allow us to join well, to integrate well, to develop well and leave well. But most importantly, they allow us to fight well as well, because that is our core role. And our apprenticeships are all aligned to trade training, and it helps us increase our lethality, which we've been directed to do through the Strategic Defence Review. And by linking this training to the apprenticeships, we're really able to increase our lethality and have that effect that we need.
That's great.
And why does the British Army give all of its new entrants the opportunity to actually do an apprenticeship?
Well, they're really important so that we've got the functional skills, literacy, numeracy, digital skills, and also the requisite sort of training that we require. The apprenticeships help us build productivity, to build resilience within the organisation and the individuals, and say it's all about that sort of journey that our employees go through to make sure that they are adding value to the organisation, but also when they leave the organisation, then we have a higher level of skills within the wider workforce.
Now, given that defence is an increasingly important national priority, how do apprenticeships help with recruitment? Because that has been a challenge, hasn't it, in recent years?
Indeed, and we've got the saying that people aren't in the army, they are the army, and they're our competitive advantage. They're our unique sort of selling point. Our soldiers are increasingly resilient, they're fantastically creative, they're coming up with some really ingenious solutions to some of the problems, and we take them in, we give them some fantastic training, some other wider opportunities with sport, adventurous training, and then they go through some really sort of meaningful work as well, and then they see that as a really fantastic package of opportunity to benefit from.
That's great.
It does sound amazing, doesn't it? What progression to higher level apprenticeships does the British Army offer?
So, as I say, in our Army People Plan, one of the key tenets is to develop people, and our soldiers go on levels 2, 3 and 4 depending on the trade that they're assigned to, but then we've got progression apprenticeships, and we've got the Chartered Management Degree Apprenticeship, which blends that theoretical learning with some real world examples, and these have been an absolute game changer. So if you take Sergeant Vaughan, who's our 2025 Apprentice of the Year, he's a 46-year-old vehicle mechanic, and he'll admit that this level 6 put him into an uncomfortable place, and particularly when he was going through his sort of operational deployments, but he never gave up, and that was really sort of heartening to see. And he actually, we were talking about his experience of delivering a PowerPoint presentation when he was deployed on an exercise in Germany, and actually sort of getting that sort of progression through whilst he was on exercise was a fantastic opportunity. So we've got the level 6, and we've also this autumn about to start with our first cohort of the level 7 senior leader MBA, and that progression is available to those people who meet the entry requirements, and are fantastic for our senior leader cohort.
So it's a really positive story. All of your entrants having the opportunity to go on to an apprenticeship when they join the Army, and there is that career progression as they make their way through. Colonel Alex Burt, thank you very much for joining us, and once again, congratulations on being #1 in the top 100 Apprenticeship Employers.
Excellent, thank you.
So there we are, our countdown is complete. Many congratulations to all the employers that have been ranked in the Sunday Times Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers for 2025.
It has been a real privilege to work with so many incredible employers and apprentices while we've been researching and compiling this year's rankings and putting together today's programme. Thank you so much to all of you.
And we're very grateful to BAE Systems for hosting us today in their fabulous Academy for Skills and Knowledge. Thank you to the whole team here in Samlesbury.
Don't forget to look out for full coverage of the new Top 100 Apprenticeship Employers in the Sunday Times this weekend.
But for now, all that remains is for us to thank you for watching today. We hope you've enjoyed the programme.
From me, Chanise Evans.
And me, Martin Birchall, it's goodbye.